Hi guys, so I really enjoyed this discussion because I love fairy tales myself, and after reading the two versions of The Three Little Pigs and The Little Red Riding Hood, I found out a lot of differences and a lot of different perspectives. Such as the Three Little Pigs in the original, we are told that these three little pigs are building these houses down, but then there's this malicious wolf who just wants to blow them down no matter what, and we don't see a wanton change, or we don't see him or the wolf wanting to be a different person. He's just this malicious villain with no positive intent. So after reading the second version that was given, we actually get the wolf's perspective, and the wolf's perspective is that he was being framed, and he's not this malicious villain that everyone thinks he is. He actually, just had a cold the first time the straw house was built, and the first time he ate a pig was when the pig died. He was like, well, I have to live, so he just ate the pig because it was already dead. And it was just more of like the wolf isn't this great big villain. He feels remorse. He doesn't want to be this evil character. He just was looked at the wrong perspective. And then we have the Little Red Riding Hood, where in the original we have this young naive girl who is voicing her grandmother, and the wolf, who is malicious and wants to eat her, ends up pretending to be her grandma and frames her and ends up actually eating her. And in the second one, I like how she's perceived, because she's perceived as this young girl, but she looks at the warning signs that were clearly there, and she realizes this stranger was actually not her grandmother and she was in danger. So she took matters into her own hands and protected herself. And I really thought that was a cool difference, because not all girls are young and naive. They are strong and they can take care of themselves. I do think the original purpose of both these tales were the Three Little Pigs was, I believe, to teach children that with strong determination and hard work, you can do anything, honestly. And if they made shortcuts like they did in the last one, they ended up not being as successful, because hard work and determination gets you further in life than anything. And then the Little Red Riding Hood, I believe, taught that young children, especially young women or young girls, all strangers that approach you may not be going in for the right intent. We've got malicious people in this world who, see the innocence in the young girls and young children, and they take it, and they don't have a good intention. So I believe that was the reason why that was written. I think these fairy tales have changed into much lighter and easier and happy ever after endings, because as children they want to protect the innocence, and they want to protect, honestly, the evil of the world. Like I was taught, the original Cinderella and the original Little Mermaid are actually dark and very evil stories, and they were pretty gruesome. And I think if children were taught this perspective, they would be more scared of the world, and they wouldn't have this lighthearted, fun fairy tale adventure. Instead, they'd have this dark adventure. So I feel like they needed to find a way to create children to learn lessons and valuable life experiences in a fun but lighter way than the original fairy tales. And I would also say that I do believe children are being desensitized through readings and books and movies, because it creates unrealistic expectations and outcomes. Just because you fix this problem doesn't mean that this is going to be the outcome of the problem, or there's no talking and dancing and singing animals that are going to help you with your problems. And every fairy tale has an happy ending, but in real life you don't always get the happy ending. And I do think children need to be taught that, yes, not everyone's evil, but they do need to be taught that there should be something they should be aware of, don't approach strangers, or talking and singing animals aren't real, and you're not always going to get the happy ending in life. You're going to go through obstacles and challenges in your life where you really wish that you would just have a happy ending, but the expectation versus reality is just that you're not always going to get that happy ending in life. And life is hard, and it hits you pretty hard. And as a child, I feel like I was very desensitized to this realization, because as I got older and experienced my own problems, I realized that not everything can be fixed, and that some things are out of our control, and you're not always going to get the happy ending. And though there are very happy things in life, it's just unrealistic to be taught that children that you can fix every outcome in life. It's just impossible.